Well, hey there, everyone. Welcome to Microfamily Millionaire. And this is a sub-series to our parent show, Share the Wealth Show. And in Microfamily Millionaire, I'm going to be documenting my journey to becoming a millionaire through small multifamily properties. So I want to kind of vent a little bit first and expose something that I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't realize, a lot of newer people who are not yet in commercial multifamily, but they want to be. Um, I'm in so many masterminds and mentorships, and I've read so many books, I've done so many 3-day courses and seminars and like all the things, right? For years before I even started and before I bought my first multifamily property. I got to always knew the difference between residential and commercial multifamily when it came to valuation. Was in residential, valuation is based off of comparable sales. So any properties that are like properties that sold within normally the past year, shorter if you have more sales in that time frame, within a mile, all the other metrics that they use to find a property that they consider a like property, like kind, and has sold within a certain time frame, right? And that's how they come up with the valuation. In commercial, the thing that was sold to me and so many people, and what I've heard preached on stages all the time, is that in commercial, you have control. You have control over your valuations because all the valuation is based off of the NOI. The NOI is net operating income. What is net operating income? That is all the rents and income and anything else that you have minus all the expenses except debt service. You don't include debt service in the NOI. So all your income minus all your operational expenses, that is what gives you the valuation of the property because they use the cap rate of that particular market to help give you your valuation. The problem with this is that not every market solely relies on income method to evaluate commercial properties, which I just didn't understand. Like, I was told if it was commercial, 5+ units, that it was going to be evaluated based off of the income method, right? So I go buy my first commercial multifamily building, and we're in contract, and we're waiting for the valuation to from the appraisal to come back. And of course, it appraised for they can do the numbers and kind of manipulate to make sure that the valuation comes in around at least the purchase price. It only wants to rock the boat too much, just depends. Um, but when I looked at the valuation of the appraisal report, it showed comparable properties. And then looked at those comparable properties, comparable rents, the sold price, price per unit, all of that, and then gave us a valuation based off of the comparable sales. And I was like, what is happening here? And then the next page of the appraisal report gave a valuation based off of the net operating income. And then they took an average of the two. So they just added them together, divided by two, and the average was what they valued the NOI of the building to be, or what they valued the building to be, not NOI, what they valued the building to be. So they gave one valuation based off of comparable sales, one valuation based off of the income approach, which net operating income, and then took the average of those two valuations, and that's what they gave us. But in any case, it still came in at the purchase price. So I guess that's really what matters, but that's leaving equity on the table potentially. Like, we could have closed for the purchase price and then still had a little bit of extra. If the value came in higher than the purchase price, we would have closed with some extra equity in the property, right? That's always a good thing, especially when you're trying to build and grow. So that was a big shocker to me when I saw that they actually use comparable sales to help value the building. What I have heard since then, that on smaller buildings, technically microfamily, appraisers will sometimes use a sales comp methodology for evaluating the property along with the NOI. So it just depends. I think when you get above 10 units, maybe, then they start going strictly by NOI. Definitely when you get like 20, 30, 40, 50, yeah, there's no question they're going to do only the NOI. But on those smaller multifamilies, like 5 to 10 units, and maybe even up to 15, I'm not sure. So we will see. But from my experience, I was just under the impression that anything like 5 units and up was considered commercial. So that was the hard line. That's what I was taught, and that's what I knew to be true. That 5 units was the hard line to commercial. And that is actually not very true. It's still pretty blurry. When it comes to loans and getting financing, and mainly that's it, loans and financing. Yes, 5 units is commercial, right? As long it could be under 5 units, could be commercial if it's like a mixed unit model, like if it's like not just residential, if like 2 residential units and like a storefront, then that's considered commercial, right? But we're talking about strictly residential, yeah, residential right now. So residential, if it's only residential, 5 units and up was commercial. And so all the rules for commercial across the board applied. That's not true. So just so you know, if you are listening to this and you're going for microfamily and you're under 10 units, check in your market and see how do they do the valuations there before you even go and look to buy something, because that's going to make a big difference in how you are assuming your evaluation is going to go, or your valuation is going to go, in order to create your business plan for the property. Like, what is the value when you're purchasing it? And is that based off comps? So now you can pull comps and make sure your valuation lines up. Or is it going to be off the income method so you can do the NOI and make sure the value lines up according to the cap rates of that market, right? So you need to know that for the business plan. Plus, if you are going to be doing any kind of value add strategy, or you're going to do an operational efficiency strategy, or whatever it is, in order to increase the NOI of your building, maybe it's not NOI you need to worry about if in your market they lean primarily to the comparable sales, because comparable sales you can't control. You cannot control the comps. And that was the whole reason I was sold on commercial, was so that I can control the NOI, and I could go into a building knowing what the business plan is, and knowing how much capital I'm going to put into a property, what the increase in rents is going to be. And at least all of these are pro forma and guesstimates, but you have much more control in steering the building and the operations the way you need to in order to produce the NOI like valuation that you need to. So just a warning to make sure, if you are getting into commercial, small multifamily that is strictly residential, how can you find out in your market what the valuation methodology is? You can call appraisal companies directly, right? And then ask them, hey, I'm looking at these types of deals. How do you do your valuations based off of comparable sales, or income methodology? Or call banks, call lenders, call the company, the banks and lenders who you would be going to for financing, and ask, when they're underwriting properties, because they also underwrite the properties too, they have to put out a loan on it. Ask them, how do they value properties, and how do the appraisers in that market evaluate the properties as well. So that's just a quick tip and a warning for anyone out there who doesn't get sidetracked or caught off guard when your valuation potentially comes in different than you expect. All right. And so until next time.